Hello everyone, I'm Laksh. Hope your HackStack'22 projects have kickstarted. Uh, Here we have with us one of our DL alumnus, Haritha Nair, who is a software engineer at Microsoft, and she has something to teach to all of us. So I'll hand it over to ma'am so she can take over the session.
Thanks, Lakshya. I really don't have a lot to teach, but can you just bring up the presentation? Thanks. Okay, so all right. So the topic I have, very clickbaity, very BuzzFeed article like, is what software engineering doesn't teach you. But as I said, it's very BuzzFeed article like, and I'm not sure if I'm the best person to say about things that software engineering does or does not teach you. But these are some learnings that I gained over the years and things that I keep telling my juniors. So that's probably why they put it on me to actually speak in Hackstack about the same topics. But before all of that, I'm super excited for you all who are working on the hackathon, building your projects. All the best to everyone. And I'm really excited to see the kind of sponsorship and participation Hackstack this year has invited. So, really glad to see that. So, I think we can get started. Lakshya, let me know if there is any issue from audio or video from my end. Cool. Right. So the plan for today is that I'll be doing a quick introduction, who I am, what I'm doing, and some free gyan. Because this is your first session, let's start it off light, and we'll be having an Ask Me Anything. So this is not a regular Q&A. You can use the comment section. You can ask me anything which is related to the topic, anything you want to know, any of your personal questions. You can even, I think, share anonymous questions with the organizers if you want to. So I want to keep it completely open. Any kind of discussions you want to initiate, it can be, so we can keep it super chill. You can ask any questions you want. So it's an Ask Me Anything session, not a Q&A. So let's move forward to the introduction. So I'm currently working as a software engineer at Microsoft, like Lakshya said. I've been at Microsoft for 2 years. After I interned over there, I joined back in 2020. I'm also the co-founder at Skysil. Skysil is an organization that is trying to bridge the gap between opportunities and students who are in regional colleges. You can find more about it, about Skysil at skysil.in, if you want to check it out. And apart from this, I like to write stuff when I'm not doing either of these things. So I have my own personal blog and I like to write over there. None of this might be very interesting to you, but there it goes. So about my journey, during college, I was into competitive coding. Then I started doing web development. I did a bit of open source. Then I moved to machine learning, did some research work over there, and finally ended up as a software engineer. So there's been a lot of stuff that I've tried out. Some might have worked, some might not have. But the key element over here in the introduction is that I'm not a motivational speaker. So these are just experiences. What you can expect in the upcoming few slides or sections would be, just you can expect a lot of pop culture references. You can expect a lot of book recommendations, video recommendations, even series recommendations. So I have structured this session to be very, I would say, basic, as in there is not a lot of technical details or anything. It is just learnings about things you otherwise don't know about software engineering. For example, if you Google or Bing, I have to say that because I work for Microsoft, uh, about software engineering and software engineering interviews and how to be one, you would get tons of resources about lead code and geeks for geeks and cracking the coding interview and things like that. But there's a lot more that goes into being a professional developer than just those resources, just those interview prep resources that you get, and or outside the tech stack that you think you would be working on. So this session will be covering few of those points, what you can work on while you are in your college, which can actually help your professional life, apart from the standard things that you almost always expect. For example, you might be learning React, you might be learning SQL, or whatever you're trying to learn. But these are things outside of those specific norms, which people don't usually talk about. And another thing that I would like to say in the introduction is that I tend to speak fast. So if there is anything that needs repetition, you can put it in the comments or ask a question. I'm open to repeating whatever I'm talking about. So let's move forward. So the first thing we need to talk about when we come to software engineering or any profession in general is that if we are to have this discussion, you first need to have ambitions, right? And this is from Tangled, by the way, if anyone has not watched. So this is a song about I've got a dream, and the song kind of ends with everyone has a dream. So the first thing you need to define for yourself is what are your goals and dreams, and these need not be than that. It needs to be more life changing than that. So it could be as ridiculous as you want. It could even be that you want to be the first person to go to Mars, or it can be that you want to run your own company or anything of that sort. But you need to have a dream, um, and let it be as ridiculous as it needs to be, and feel free to own up to your dream. So before we get started with this whole process, the first thing you need to have in your mind is what you want to be above everything else. It's not a job title, it's not a particular company that you're dreaming for, it is your life changing dream. So the first condition I put forward is think of what your dream is, and then we'll move forward. So this is a book I really love called Outliers. So as I said, you'll be getting a lot of book recommendations on the go. The first one is Outliers, and I have written a phrase over here called 10,000 hours. Anyone knows what the significance of 10,000 hours is? Can put in the comments actually. I know that there's a slight delay between the streaming and YouTube, so I probably won't wait for the answer. But if you know, do put it in over there. So the reason I shared this number right after saying you've got a dream is that 10,000 hours is the time it takes for you or anyone to become a world level expert in any topic. So if you want to be a writer, you put in 10,000 hours into writing. It could be blogs, it could be random musings, it could be Twitter threads, it could be anything. It's the time it takes for you to become an expert. This has been measured. Michael Jordan, Bill Gates, all of those really amazing people you think are geniuses. Like Ethics said, yeah, Siddharth is also saying, it's the time it takes to master anything. Now, Outliers has a lot of themes going on in that, but this one phrase struck with me because if you put a number on the effort you need to take, then it makes that dream that much more doable. So, if you have a number of 10,000 hours, let's imagine that 5,000 hours would take you halfway there. You would be a world level champion, halfway there to being a world level champion. And even if you take a 1/10 of this number, that would probably take you very close to your dream. So the reason I shared this number right after you've got a dream is that to show that your dream is definitely achievable. So what you need to set for yourself are moonshot goals. It could be anything in the world. It could be running Tesla. It could be, we have got so many Indian CEOs coming up, so you can even be doing that. It could be running your own company. You could have space expeditions. You could have the most ridiculous dreams ever. Or you could actually even just dream of running your own small business. That's also fine. But have your moonshot goals. You want to work for the UN, that's fine, and break it down into achievable dreams. And this number over here just shows you that your dreams are actually achievable. And something that people often forget when we run behind job titles, like the clickbait title of this particular session, software engineering, is that you could have an overarching dream even if you are in a very mainstream domain like software engineering, and you can work towards that through achievable goals broken down into small parts. Okay, we'll just move forward. While I talk about outliers, another book I would like to mention is Zero to One. And many people attribute a lot of success to luck. You might think your friends are more lucky, they get the better opportunities all the time, any of those things. But there is a great chapter in Zero to One called You Are Not a Lottery Ticket. And it talks about how luck does not really define you. And like we discussed in the previous section, if you put in the enough number of efforts, like many people in the chat have actually mentioned the time it takes to master anything, you can actually achieve these dreams, and you are not really a lottery ticket. You're just a mixture of all the hard work you put into anything you want to do. So this is applicable for any domain, and specifically for tech, because this is a place where dreams can actually come true. As you might have all been seeing, the number of unicorns we are minting in a year, the kind of work the tech industry is doing right now within India is really amazing. And you are definitely not a lottery ticket that you can actually make your dreams come true in tech. The third book suggestion I have is 4 Hour Work Week. I am not a big fan of the book, the language of the book, or the way it presents a lot of communities. But there is one section in this book where they talk about when somebody asks you what do you do or who are you, what do you first say? So let's say I ask Kunal, I see Kunal in the chat. So I ask Kunal, hey, hi Kunal, give a quick introduction. The first thing he would be saying, and even I just did that, a few minutes back, would be to tell your job title, like what you're doing. He might say, I'm an intern at XYZ company, or I might say, I am a software engineer at Microsoft. But the fact we need to know is that we are not just our job titles. There could be so much more to every person that we meet. So, actually, what normally happens to people is when you set your moonshot goal to be something very basic, like getting a job at a FANG company, once you achieve that, what do? Like, you have already achieved your moonshot goal to get a job over there, and now the only thing you can speak for yourself and say you are is your job title. You don't have anything else. You are a software engineer at Google, or you are a, I don't know, data scientist at Facebook. You're nothing more than that. So it takes a lot of intention to actually get out of that cocoon, and it really helps to have those moonshot goals to stand out. So while I was introducing myself, I didn't just say I'm a software engineer at Microsoft. I said I'm a software engineer at Microsoft. I am a co-founder at Skysil, which is a non-profit organization, and I like to write. So I'm not defined by a job title. Let's say tomorrow I get fired from my job. I hope I don't. Don't share this video with Microsoft, please, kids. But let's say I do. I still have an identity that I have built over the years, which does not depend on that one job. So this is something that can give you, lifelong dreams, lifelong things to follow. And this is a very big crisis that we often see in students moving into the industry. While we are in college, we always have deadlines. We have assignments coming up, we have exams coming up, there is placement season going on, there is something to target somewhere down the lane. And once you enter the professional world, no one is asking you to be better at what you do. I mean, you need to be good at what you do, but no one is pushing you to go for the next promotion, or no one is telling you what to aim for next. Do you want a job change? Do you want a role change? Do you need to change your company? No one is telling you, and people actually face a crisis over here. But what can really help you is setting those moonshot goals and seeing if the plans you're making in short term are taking you closer to those goals you have. So be more than your job title. Have other things going for you around you, which is not just engineering or related to your job. It could even be, you could be an open source maintainer, you could be doing something for education in India, you could be volunteering with the COVID workforce. It could be anything. It could be anything that makes you happy, but have more in your life than just your job title. And I hope everyone knows who's on the screen. But this is Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. He's a really cool character. But one thing that really strikes me about Sheldon is he's super frank about who he is. So there is one episode in Big Bang Theory where his friend Raj gets an award. I don't remember what the award was. And then he was super jealous that he didn't get that award or anything of that sort. It was a 30 under 30 award, I think. Yeah. So Sheldon always knows who he is, and he keeps talking about his work. He keeps saying how smart he is. Often it's almost close to boasting. I'm not saying you should be like Sheldon, but the key takeaway over here is code isn't always enough. So you might be the best software engineer in your company, in your team. You might be in your hackathon team even, or you might be on the way to win this thing. But at the same time, just having that code isn't enough, right? You have to present to judges, or you have to present to your manager, or you have to talk to people and convince them that your solution is better than something else available outside. So The reason I put this slide is I have this is something that I have felt while I was in college, that everyone kept saying that communication skills are super important, and it always felt like a cliche dialogue that people just say and it doesn't mean much. But after working for 2 years, I have really realized the importance of communication, and I want to emphasize this again, although it might seem like a cliche sentence to everyone over here. But the more number of hours you can put into your communication skills and being able to convince others that your work is good, that much success you can get. We all know that Steve Jobs story, right? That he was a showman. People keep saying that, but the fact that he was a showman doesn't actually bring down his contributions, right? He was able to convey the dream of the company in the best way possible. And to be honest, the world is made of people who can actually sell their dreams, not just make those dreams. So talk about the work you are doing. That is the key point over here. I think the next slide is also the same thing, that be your greatest cheerleader. So an example could be, let's say you're in a team meeting, or you're working with some friends on a project. You want them to know that you're good. Okay, there is no simpler way to put this. There is no humble way to put this. But you want them to know that you're good, so that when they have an opportunity at hand, they think of you. So let's say my juniors are talking to me, and if they mention a project they have done in a particular tech stack in the recent times, the next time I have a project, I would think of them, right? So an example could be, if I'm in a meeting and someone is stuck, I could go and say that, hey, I did something similar recently, and that went on to do XYZ, or that went on to win XYZ award. Maybe you would like to take a look at that. So I'm actually offering my help, but at the same time, I'm promoting myself. So one thing current world really needs is for you to become your own greatest cheerleader. And the fact is, no one else is going to do it for you. To be very honest, no one else has the time and effort to speak for you in some other forum. There might be kind enough people to do that, but don't rely on them. Don't rely on word of mouth success, or to be the geek that everyone else speaks of. Speak for yourself, participate in things, and tell people that you won. So this happened with me once while I was in college. I won something in my second year, I think. I no, there was zero recognition, and then in my third year we won something again in some other competition, and one of our faculty members got that printed in some kind of college newsletter. And I was surprised that this is a thing that I didn't even know. I'm pretty sure many of my juniors don't even know this thing. But there are ways to actually promote your work and get the visibility that you don't have. So use all of the public platforms. It could be LinkedIn, it could be Twitter, anywhere. Go and talk about your work. Don't think that you're spamming. Be your greatest cheerleader so that people actually notice you. And this is a world where that actually matters. So, and on a side note, I hope people know where this phrase "sell me this pen" is from. If people know that, please feel free to put it in the comments. It's a really great movie, and yeah, it just shows that the world is made of people who can actually sell stuff. Again, the book I recommended a while back, Zero to One, has a great section on how sales is really important. So sales doesn't really mean the boring work that you think people do, coming and asking you to buy things. Sales is everywhere around you. Sales is in every purchase decision you make. Yeah, Siddharth has answered it rightly. It's from Wolf of Wall Street. Sales is in everything every single thing you purchase. Let's say you're scrolling through Instagram, you make you look at some reels, and then you identify that, oh wow, there's a bag that I really wanted to buy, and let me go and get that. You have been influenced already by so many advertisements, and they have already sold to you the bag that you never wanted. So the world is made up of salespeople, and you need to be one to sell your own skills in the market. And this is something people don't actually talk about software engineering. It's not just about writing the best code. It's not just about being the silent geek who does all the work. It's actually about talking for yourself, grabbing for that promotion, and being the person people can trust to get things done. Be the famous name. That actually helps out. And for the introverted people who are actually scared of that, you will figure a way around it. I have seen so many people go into extrovert mode just for their professional life, and you don't even need to do that. You can just talk about your work, staying within your circles, and it can really, really help you. Next book recommendation. I think this has kind of become a book recommendation presentation instead of the session that we were going for. But it is Lean In by Cheryl Sandberg. I hope people know who Cheryl Sandberg is. We can put that also in the comments if you want. So she's a really super cool person, and again, I don't necessarily agree with everything she has written in the book, but this is a wonderful book to read, especially for all the girls who might be listening to this now or later. One point that she makes over here is that once she got a promotion, and people kept congratulating her for that promotion, or she was named in the Forbes list of um, Forbes list of richest women or more successful women. I don't remember. I'm really bad with details. But people kept congratulating her, and she was like, "Oh, that's nothing. Oh, no worries. That's just a small thing. That's just some side thing." And then somebody pulled her aside and told her, "Why aren't you owning this success? It is something you did. You actually got an achievement in a worldwide, well-renowned magazine, or a list of really well-doing people, and you are actually saying, oh, it's nothing. Own your success." And this happens to people across the world, in all strata. So she is actually the COO of Facebook. And to think that someone like her could actually be saying her achievement is nothing, many of us might be doing the same thing. So if you win the hackathon, go and tell your friends you won the hackathon, or make sure that you make a public post about it, talk about your successes and own it. That's again a badge for yourself, and it helps you in every industry, and in the tech industry ever more. The next thing is, many times people want to talk about their successes. People want to say about the wonderful things that they're doing, but often they're stuck by the feeling that they're imposters. So this is from the game Among Us, by the way, where there's an imposter sitting there. If anyone doesn't know, I hope everyone does. But the fact I want you all to take away, and this took me a long time to learn, is the fact that there are so many more average developers than superstar developers. So you might be thinking, oh my God, these people know so much. Sorry, I messed with my earphones. Yeah, so you might be thinking that, oh, the senior knows so much, and how can I ever come at par with them? You might be thinking that, oh, these guys are so cool. They are the superstar developers of the company. But very often, you might be surrounded by hundreds of average developers and maybe one superstar developer. Imposter syndrome is very common, and please feel free to go and read more about it. But just accept that there would be things that those seniors might not know that you would, and vice versa. And it's okay to have a knowledge gap, and that is where you can actually help each other out. So keep this mantra in mind, that there will be so many more average developers, and most probably the folks around you are just average developers. They are no geniuses. They might not have put in the 5,000 or 10,000 hours required to become a world level expert for sure, and they are just people like you, or maybe you're more smarter than them. That's also possible. And one key thing to remember over here is to not confuse experience with genius. For folks who are going into internships or your first professional experiences, you might see that 20-year experienced person, who has the answer to everything at hand, and you might look at them and go, oh my God, I can never be of their level. But the fact is, they had 20 years to reach that stage. They might have put in so many of those 10,000 hours we said we need to reach, world level expertise. So you are actually comparing or contrasting their experience with genius, which might not be the case. Maybe at 20 years of experience, you might be even more better than them. So do not confuse experience with genius. There are things you know that they don't, and do more things. The only answer to imposter syndrome is to do more things. So there is one guy called Scott Hanselman who actually works at Microsoft. He's a really great public speaker. I think I have a slide about him coming up later. So he recently tweeted that the only way to be a really great software engineer is to have a personal, not a personal website, a public website up live. Take care of its security, take care of its authentication, take care of every vulnerability you could imagine in that website, maintain it for a year, and you will learn everything you need to learn to be a software engineer. And that's the only way to learn. That's the only way to learn as a junior developer. And that's the way you get out of imposter syndrome, because you would have tried it all. So this is that's mostly all I had about imposter syndrome. Yeah, this is the guy actually, Scott Hanselman. This is a video from him about personal productivity, and I would definitely recommend you to check it out on YouTube. But we have already discussed about defining your goals, believing in them, working towards them, talking about your success, beating imposter syndrome. But what you also need to identify is that not every plan is worth pursuing. As a junior developer or as a student, there will be a lot of work coming to you, which you would have to prioritize. You would have to decide what to do and what not to. There's only a limited time left. And in Scott's video, he talks about how we have only so many keystrokes left. So we can actually just use this tool that he has shared. And let's check this out. So I'm currently 24 years old, and I don't know my typing speed. So let's just put in, I don't know, some random number like 70 or something. And let's calculate how many keystrokes I have left. So I have a lot of keystrokes left, but if you look over here, you can see that it's reducing every second. It's going down from 998 to 997 to 996. So I have only so many keystrokes left. And as a developer, my most precious resource are my keystrokes. So how do I conserve or preserve my keystrokes? By doing only what is most important to me. So they have actually put this down into how many number of tweets I have left, imagining I will live until 90. It's a very depressing way to look at it. But I can write 88 novels if I start right now. I can write 532 programs, and I can write 26,000 love letters. Or I can write, I don't know, 13 lakh emails to my boss. Where do I want to spend my time? Check it out. It's a really cool way to think about prioritizing your work and productivity. Where do you want to spend your time? So this is a key to making moonshot goals, but working towards what is most important to you and making sure that you don't do everyone's grand work. You do only what is important to yourself and the goals that you have for yourself. And I hope everyone knows who he is. You can put that in the comments as well. So this is from the movie Three Idiots, and I know the quote that everyone would have in their minds when you see this picture: "Life is a race." So I think this is almost the final slide I had, but feel free to use the comment section any questions you have. But the final thing I wanted to leave you all with is life is a race. We all probably agree. We all are trying to catch up with a lot of things that are happening around us all the time. But the question is, are we all in the same game? So many times what happens is that we are competing against no one but ourselves. We are only competing with our own time left here, like we saw in the previous very depressing website. But the fact is, we are not really competing against our batchmates or the folks who are sitting with us for a company placement. We really are not. And this is a trend we very often see in colleges, that you start competing with your peers. Your peers are actually people who would support you and take you to success rather than being your competition. With the kind of opportunities currently available in the tech world, you really are not all in the same game. So the key takeaway for concluding this thing is, while you're working on your dreams, make sure you take people along. So if this hackathon is one step ahead towards what you are dreaming for yourself, you have a team with you. Make sure they learn as much as they can from this hackathon, and you all have a collectively great experience, because you all are not in the same game. One person might be dreaming of going to Mars, and the other might be dreaming of becoming the CEO of a company, and the other might be imagining of retiring as a senior software developer with tons of money, which is quite possible with the current paychecks that people are usually getting. So you all are not in the same game. You all have your distinct moonshot goals, and you all are working, or running in the different tracks, and there is no point thinking you all are in the same race. So I think that is what I wanted to leave you with. So these are certain things about software engineering or the tech industry that is normally not discussed. And I hope it helped you, and I'm definitely happy to chat later. These are the socials. You can reach out to me anywhere you want. And I think we are open for questions. I'll just stop sharing so that we can take the questions we want. And Lakshi, if you want to come on screen, we can do that. Or I can leave this here so that you can get the social stuff. All right. Do we have any questions yet?
Yes, ma'am.
Recognition or visibility versus peace of mind. Are these mutually exclusive things in industry or can be handled? Well, I would say that that's it's a good question actually. But at the same time, peace of mind is something very subjective, right? What brings you peace of mind? Like, let me say that I keep giving this freak again to a lot of my juniors, so that's probably why I ended up doing this thing over here today. I'm spending a weekend actually talking to you all, and I'm really enjoying it. So for me, visibility or the fact that folks know that I do like public speaking is not actually bothering with my peace of mind because that's something I actually enjoy. So I think if it is something that you actually want to be known for and you want people to get in touch with you, let's say you are really good at fixing bugs. And that actually gives you a lot of practice, right? You're reaching your 10,000 hours limit if people keep coming to you to fix bugs. Maybe that is a trade off. But I think if it's stuff that you really want to be visible for or recognized for, peace of mind is something that you won't think it's disturbing your peace of mind if that's something you really enjoy. Intensity versus continuity. Oh, I would need some explanation on what that actually means. I think very cryptic actually. Not sure what intensity versus continuity means. Hope it helped you, Anurag. Wow, thanks with that. I think if you can explain that question, I can probably try to answer what you were getting at. Glad to know that, Anand. Hi, Guna. Nice to see you here. We have tons of time actually. If there are any other questions, okay. Intensity of time spent on a dream versus how long do we continue to dream it? Wow, I love this question. So something I like to do personally is when I have something in my head. I'll tell you one dream I had. So at one point, I really wanted to get into business, and the business I wanted to get into was nutrition bars. So I started thinking that a lot of people, we all are in this fast moving life and we don't really get to have good breakfast. So I have lived abroad for a few years, so I've seen these nutrition bars that you can just grab and go and you can just eat on the way. It's like nuts and stuff and all of that, really really good stuff for you, but it's grab and go breakfast. So I got really obsessed with this dream of mine that I really want to start a nutrition bar company. I never did, so don't copy my idea. But if you do, I'll be more than happy to collaborate with you. But what I tend to do is when I have such kind of a dream, I note that down, and after 2 or 3 weeks I revisit that idea, and if that still seems interesting to me, then only I pursue it. Because what happens often is that the intensity of time spent that you explain might be, the graph could be like there will be a peak where you are really thinking about that idea and you come up with ways in which you can take that product or take that project and get recognition for it, be the superstar, and then suddenly it drops. It's not that important to you, it's just a dream that you had. So if and for dreams like that, it's very tough to sustain your interest. So if the intensity of time spent goes like this, maybe that's not an idea worth pursuing. How long do we continue to dream it? And the reason I mentioned the nutrition bar idea is that something that's still in my head even after 2 years. So I'll probably start. I should probably start pursuing it. But if your interest in that idea stays for a long period of time, then you can be sure that that's a project that you can continue to explore, and that interest could stay for a longer period of time. Otherwise it would be a waste of your effort. That's what I think. I hope that answered your question. This is actually something I do for blogs as well. So if there is any idea I have in my mind, I write down that on a piece of paper. I keep a notebook all the time in my hand. I definitely recommend you folks to do that, especially as junior developers. When you listen to anything, anything anyone is saying, note it down. Like, make notes as if you're going to class, even if it makes you look like a school kid. It's fine. Make notes, keep it with you, because there will be a lot of hidden nuggets of knowledge in that which you might be missing. Make notes of that. So what I tend to do is I make notes, I revisit that after 2 weeks, and if it still sounds interesting to me, not cringeworthy, then only I post it somewhere. Then only I make something of it. Pursue it further or things like that. Cool. Thanks, I think looks like you got your answer. Are there any other questions? It's an open forum. You can ask about anything you want, any doubts you have, and if the questions need to be anonymous, I think our organizers can help do that as well. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for the reactions. If you have any question, I'll be here for a few more minutes, and then we can wrap it. All right. I think you anyway have my social, so feel free to reach out. And okay, so there is okay. I see there's another question coming. Can you give some pointers on how to deal with people as you work with open source orgs and GSOC also? People tend to outshine each other. Oh, that's a really cool point. So I'll also okay. One key thing that I didn't add to the presentation, but I had in my mind is it really helps to accept your vulnerabilities. The fact that you're actually saying this, that you think that other people outshine you, or in general, that's really cool. So during my GSOC, in my org, there was this one guy from CMU, Carnegie Mellon, and he really knew math. So I was working on an ML project, and so while we were preparing for GSOC, so if you know the GSOC timeline, it's something like before you actually do GSOC, you prepare for GSOC. So you start contributing to the organization, understanding the maintainers workflow, how it works, making some PRs and all of those things. So during this phase, I started seeing this guy, and he really knew math, and he could understand metrics factorizations, all of those internal machine learning stuff that takes me time to get, because that's like basic mathematics that we learned in first and second year, and I wasn't really good at it. So he really knew the stuff. He was going to Carnegie Mellon, so of course he knew the stuff, rank, and all of those details about matrices, and all his PRs had a lot of really really cool details like that. And I realized that he was going to apply for the same topic suggestion that the maintainers had given for GSOC, and I was applying for the same. So I got scared that this guy knows much more math than me, and he's almost as consistent as me. And there were 5 topics, and we you kind of get the idea that who is going after which topic by the time you submit the proposal. And I knew that this person is going to submit proposal for the same thing. And when the results came out, we both got selected for the same topic, because our proposals were very distinct, and his proposal was a mathematical proposal for doing something in that particular library, and mine was around neural networks and in a different direction. So that's a long wound answer to say that dealing with people, the first part of the question is a different thing altogether. Dealing with people is a skill that you need to train yourself for. There is no easy way around that. The best way to do that is to reach out to people as much as you can, especially professional folks. This might be difficult for you as a student, because students tend to spam people a lot on LinkedIn, so they don't often tend to talk to students. But there are a lot of people who message me on LinkedIn, and I give them tips on interview prep and things like that. Some people might be open to that. But dealing with people, what I try to do is, especially for professional people, because I got really scared when I came into Microsoft. As a fresher, I started feeling like I'm back in my college first year. A total fresher, lower rung of the ladder. I don't know anyone. No one knows me. What am I even doing here? And all of those kind of doubts. So to actually make your click over there, to get to know people, what is actually happening around, I started setting up calls with people, random conversations with people who are software engineers, who are not, who might be working on extremely different things. So I have spoken to people who are in the venture capital firm of Microsoft. We have a small venture capital fund. I've spoken to people who work for Microsoft for startups, which is kind of like an incubation center within Microsoft. I've spoken to business program managers who deal with marketing and things like that. So the way to deal with people can only be learned by dealing with more and more people, talking to them, setting up 30-minute conversations with them just to know about their work. And the key thing to dealing with people, one that I have trained myself to do, is to always think what is the worst that can happen. The worst outcome of any message, that anything that can happen from this conversation, if it's not harming you, go for it. The second thing to know about dealing with people is that people always love to talk about themselves and their work. So if you tell someone, I want to know more about what you are doing, they would always be open to do that and talk to you. In particular to the outshining part, like I explained in the GSOC example, if you are doing your work well and you are creating your own niche, outshining won't be a problem, because they might be outshining you in something and you might be outshining them in something else. Make sure that you do that part of yours and don't just get obsessed with the fact that they are outshining you in one particular thing. I hope that helped. That was a really long answer, I know. Or no, it's enough words. Any other question, any other thoughts anyone has, is then ask me anything. You can put anything you want in the comment section. I'll give it 2 more minutes. The basic thing is just do the stuff that scares you, and you'll stop being afraid of that. All right. I don't see any other questions. Lakshya, do you want to add anything, or um, should we wrap it?
Yes, ma'am, Uh, I guess we're all going to buy those books and read all of them. And I hope the audience
Sure.
is as inspired as I am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the lovely lecture. Okay, we have another question, I guess.
Oh, oh, how can you be more open? That's actually okay. I'm not an introverted person, so I don't know if my answer would be the most valid. But what I have heard from my friends who are actually introverts is that to sustain in this professional world, you need to learn to become an extrovert, at least in the professional setting. This does not mean you go and make locker room friends or water cooler friends or whatever name they call it these days. I really don't know, because I just started going to office. But the fact that you put in effort in talking about yourself, like we discussed before, and many introverted people are not comfortable with doing that. So that is something that you might want to try to overcome. If you can become comfortable in talking about yourselves, or just making sure that people know the work you're doing, because you don't want to fall short or fall behind just because you did the work, but no one heard that you did the work, and it happens a lot. So I would say, I don't know the exact answer, and I'm happy to admit that. Maybe you can, you should actually, so this actually covers two of your questions. Talk to people whom you think are introverted in nature. And there's also this concept of ambivertedness. I don't know if introvert and extrovert are good terms to even define people. But talk to people who have actually, in the industry, who are by nature introverts, or you think so, and they might be able to give you a better perspective. Cool. Hope that helps. I'll wrap this call. Lakshya, if you want to add anything, you can do that. Or all the best to all the participants of the hackathon, and hope you'll have a great time.
I guess we can wrap the session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Cool. Thanks, lecture. Thanks,
Okay then.
team. Great hackathon. Have fun. Bye.